All right, wonderful. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. So my name is Andrew Patricia, and I've always been a business owner. But over the years, some of the most successful business owners that I've worked with have used publicity to grow their business and grow their brand. So what I'm going to try and share with you today are some very, very practical opportunities that are available to you. And I'm going to show you examples of how businesses use them and how you can do the same thing. So for the next 60 minutes, that's going to be my focus. Remember, if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat and I will try and answer as many questions as possible. I'd like to make this really a session where you can learn some practical stuff that you can use immediately, and that is one of my objectives. So when we use the term public relations, what are we talking about? And I think, sometimes what happens in marketing is we use terms that we understand or that we used to, and not everybody understands them. So let me just give you a really, really simple way of understanding it. Public relations is really about getting your name out there, about people seeing you regularly in the media, on social media, on TV, on radio, on things like that. And these are all opportunities for you to improve your branding, which is really, I think, the main key. And the second one is also to improve your reputation and also to create more profile or higher profile for yourself. And I think that's the way we've got to understand it. So that's really the public relations. But it's also about, things that you do in your community. It's about getting involved in different projects that support local programs in your community. All of these things are really public interface, where you're interacting with the public, where you're speaking, where you're sharing information about your business, or you're educating people, or these are some of the opportunities. Public relations also becomes quite important. For example, if you're in a scenario where something's gone wrong in your business, and then all of a sudden you need to appear on TV and discuss some of these unique challenges, that would be something. Again, a more specialized field, I would say, where somebody needs a bit of training and maybe something that we can't do. And this is, or not can't do, it's something that doesn't happen as much in small business, but often in large companies, when they do really bad things. So let us think of some examples. The first thing that I need you to understand is, and I think this is really a mindset and a really, really important mindset, that I believe that the media needs our stories. And I think if you have that mindset, if you know that there are benefits both to you and to the media, I think that's a good starting point. Because assuming that PR only benefits you, it does benefit you, but the media also benefits them. So what I want you to understand is, if you've got an interesting story, if something's happening in your business, if something's happening in your community, what you want to try and do is you want to try and capitalize on these opportunities. That's what you want to be doing. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples that I found. I was doing a bit of research and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what the media really likes. So here's one of the examples of what the media really likes. So here's a situation where this young guy starts a business with his mom, and every week he's selling out his product. And what I want you to understand, firstly, is why the media were interested in the story. I think it's just a warm and fuzzy story, where somebody partners up with their mom. So that's the one scenario. The other one is the fact that he quit his day job. And I think this is sometimes something that everybody wants to do, I can imagine. If you're working for a boss and you don't like your job, or you're not as happy as you could be, if the opportunity comes for you to leave and go and do something differently and succeed, I think that's the great story. But this is a lovely story. This guy quits his day job, starts up a small business with his mom, and keeps selling out. That almost like rags to riches story. Starts from scratch, gets this business up and running, makes a really, really simple product and sells. And this appeared in Blog TO. So for anybody that's in the greater GTA area, this is a big opportunity, because they seem to always be selling. I mean, they always be writing stories about small business owners. The small business that makes the best donuts, small business that sells the best pumpkin spice drink now that falls here. They always seem to be trying to identify those stories. And the objective here is to help their readers make good decisions. So they're looking for your story. So if you've got a great story, maybe approaching one of these online magazines would be an opportunity for you. Now, if you're not experienced doing this, there are a couple of options for you. You could outsource this, find somebody in your community that can help you do it, so they can reach it out, so they can give you the basic structure of what's involved. You write the press release, you send it through, you take a photograph, but these are some of the opportunities. And what I want you to understand is that small businesses are doing this on a regular basis. This is not a once-off. Small business owners are doing this on a regular basis. How did this guy get the publicity? He probably knew somebody that knew somebody, or he regularly reads Blog TO, contacted somebody there, and they communicated with him, okay? And maybe he was lucky. Maybe one day he was at a market, one of the journalists walked past, they saw their booth, saw that the mother and son were working together, and said, tell me your story. Here's the key thing. You've got to have a story, because the media is always interested in stories. They're interested to know, how did you start this business? Why did you start this business? What motivated you to start this business? All of those things are what the media is looking for. But these are interesting stories for the readers. Firstly, it's this warm and fuzzy thing you have when you see somebody starting from scratch and succeeding. And then secondly, it helps the readers by identifying new businesses or family-owned businesses they can support. So every now and then, people will say to me, it's not that easy. And I agree with you. It's not that easy at all. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and identify the easiest or the shortest route to find publicity opportunities. The first thing you want to try and do, which I think is probably the most effective, is to find somebody in your community. So find somebody in your community. If you're near to a local small business center across the province, you could reach out to one of your small business centers. They probably know somebody. They know somebody that helps people get publicity. They may even know somebody in the media. They often have good relationships with local media. So these are some of the things you can do. But let's say you're one of these people that would prefer to do it yourself. You don't want to be asking anybody at your local small business center. You don't want to be communicating with somebody in your community. What you can use is you can use a resource like HARO. So HARO stands for Help a Reporter Out. What you do is you just go onto the website, you put a little story about your business, and then they may reach out to you. Do I expect you to get hundreds of requests for publicity? Absolutely not. But the thing is, if you don't try, you don't know. And I think this is why it's a good opportunity if you're looking for publicity. Here's another story. Yeah, see this whole theme that Blog TO seems to be focusing on is Toronto man quits his corporate job to start a bakery and now sells out weekly. Again, another lovely, warm and fuzzy story. Man works in job, doesn't like his job, quits his job, starts baking bread, and I'm assuming it's good quality bread, and it's selling out weekly. Again, it's almost like that success story, that surprising story, that somebody that was doing something different all of a sudden decided to go and open a bakery, and now they're doing very successfully because they're selling out. And the media loves stories like this. Actually, I saw one last week, so it seems to be quite a common theme. I saw one last week where somebody's opened a bakery in New York. This guy was an engineer, decided that in New York City, they didn't have any good bakeries like the bakeries you'll find in France. I don't know if anybody's ever traveled, but if you've traveled, you go to different parts of France, they have these wonderful bakeries that bake this fresh bread and these fresh pastries and these fresh croissants. And often when you travel to European countries, you see this beautiful stuff, And then you come to North America and then you get Dunkin' Donuts, or in our case, Tim Hortons Donuts, and you're thinking, really, is this what we have available to eat? And this motivates people to do this. But you see the theme here. The media seems to, or the blog TO specifically, seems to like these stories. Somebody's working for a boss. They decide to start their own business. They start selling their stuff. Success story. The media loves those stories. And I've seen that many times, actually, when I think back of some of my people that have been on my training programs. When I think back, a lot of them, that's the way they've got publicity. It's because they had a great story to tell. You know, they had something really interesting that the media liked, and that's why they got the publicity. Or here's another example, is somebody called Muckrack. It's a website. And yeah, you can connect with people directly that can do PR. And these are some of the opportunities. Actually, I saw in my email this week, somebody sent me a message, and this is the story. They said, Andrew, there's a lot of publications that are looking for people like you with small business experience. We can help you get free publicity, and you only pay for results. Okay, so there's an example of companies that are approaching business owners or experts or people that have skills out there. They're approaching them and saying, we'll help you get the publicity, and we'll only charge you if you get results. So maybe that could be a model for you. Obviously, if you have budget. If you don't have budget, you don't want to be getting people doing things for you, and then it's going to cost you a lot of money, but you've got to be careful. The majority of time, actually every single time, we've got publicity in my business, it's always been free. The only time that it cost us money is when we brought in somebody on retainer to get us free publicity. But otherwise, we used to do it on our own. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're creative, you can probably do this on your own. And here's the thing I want you to understand, which is the key thing when it comes to get free publicity. And I mentioned this when we did the webinar a few weeks ago, is it's third-party endorsement. And you've got to understand that. It's free, it's third-party endorsement. And the third thing, which is really key, and you've got to understand the value of this, for search engine optimization, publicity is very, very good. You know, if you get publicity in one of the national newspapers, or one of the national radio stations, or one of the national TV stations, that's very, very good for search engine optimization. Why? It's a good inbound link, a really quality inbound link. So if that's the only reason, if you're only doing it for SEO purposes, I think it's a valid reason to do it. But the key thing, I think, here is to be strategic, is to try and identify what is my story, what is unique, what is different, what is special about it. Then let me go and find somebody in my community. And if I cannot find somebody in my community, then I can start looking at these online resources. So let's see what else we can do to get ourselves more publicity. Here's another example, is hold a customer event. So one of the things you could do in your business is invite your community or invite your customers into your store. You could even categorize them, you know, call them your platinum customers, or your gold customers, or your special customers, or whatever it is, or make it sound like it's a special treat. Well, it is, I suppose, if you're doing something special. Make it sound like it's a special treat specifically for these customers. And you don't have to call it a customer appreciation day, but let's imagine, for example, having a wine and cheese for your customers, or you know, bringing customers to do a demonstration or anything like that. And again, that is building relationships with your customers. It's building relationships with your community and potential customers, because people love freebies. They love freebies. So if you can arrange this, so maybe one of your strategies would be speak to some of your suppliers, suppliers, because they've always got an allowance for promotions. Always. Every single supplier that you are buying for, except obviously for these small business suppliers, but every single large supplier that you are buying product from have budget for demonstrations. So they have budget for days like this. So speak to your suppliers. You know, maybe if you've got a bakery, you know, speak to your flour supplier. Maybe they could give you 10 bags of flour for free so you could do a special, I don't know, bring kids in to bake for the day or whatever it is. So you want to try and be creative as a business owner to improve your relationship. Here's an example. This is a company based out of Calgary. Actually, when I first saw the idea, I wasn't overly excited about what they were offering. But then I thought, you know what? The concept or the theory or the idea behind it is the most important thing. So here's their thing. So they call it Racket Network. We have a customer appreciation days, save 20% on the spot stringing for every 5-star review posted. I'm not sure if you should bribe your customers to give you a 5-star review. I think it should rather come from them, from them feeling like you've given them great service. But there's nothing wrong at all by encouraging your customers to give you a review for your business. Don't ask for a 5-star review, but hopefully they'll give you a review. But again, this is a creative way of doing things. It's a creative way of thinking. Is there a way we can pay people, or we can give some benefit to people that are giving us 5-star reviews? So be creative again. Maybe come up with a customer appreciation day, a day where you bring in your favorite customers or your top customers into your store. You have a demonstration, maybe a couple of things to eat and drink you're going to get from your suppliers, and then entertain them. Again, this improves your relationship with your community and the public out there. The other big opportunity, if you want to increase your profile, is become a speaker. Most of us have a story. We business owners, we have stories to tell, and people love hearing the story. I've heard it many times over the years of business owners that get invited to speak at local schools, they get invited to speak at local universities. All of these are opportunities, and I encourage you to be open to these opportunities. So let's just go back a couple of steps. I was asked this question last week. Somebody said to me, if I'm an average speaker and I want to become a better speaker, where do I go for this? Does anybody have any idea? I'm a business owner, I'm an average speaker, I want to improve my speaking skills because I see this as an opportunity, maybe to do some public presentations, maybe to speak at some conferences, trade shows. Does anybody have an idea of where I can learn to become a better speaker? It's interesting enough, actually, over the last few months, I've given this advice to quite a few people that I know that own service businesses. So one of the opportunities I see for service businesses is to do exactly that. Create an event, say, in your business, invite customers in, and then educate them. So let's say, for example, I'm a massage therapist. Maybe I can bring people in and speak about the benefits for their health. I can speak about maybe bringing a guest speaker to speak about vitamins or whatever it is, mental health or things like that. Those could be an opportunity. All right. So if you're a business owner and you want to improve your speaking skills, what I recommend to business owners is join an organization like Toastmasters. And there are two reasons you do that. One is I find some of the most successful managers of larger companies learn how to do that. And so they go to Toastmasters. And the other advantage is they'll teach you how to structure a presentation. So I've said to many of my most successful businesses, and here's the key, some of my most successful businesses over the years, I've recommended to them that they go and do a public speaking course, only because it gives them more opportunities to go out there and to speak about their business. And also it's just, it's good for you when you can structure a presentation well. So let's think about some of the opportunities. All of you should know, and if you don't know, I'm here to tell you that October in Canada is usually Small Business Month. So you will see quite a lot of organizations, some of these small business centers will have Small Business Month. The media will often feature small business. It doesn't matter which newspaper you read or online blogs that you read that are related to small business, they will typically have stories about small business. And Small Business Month, which has become over the years, started off as Small Business Week. The Business Development Bank of Canada it started this Business Week years ago, and this year it's from the 16th to the 22nd of October. So if you want to get publicity for your business, this is a really good month. So October is a really good month to get it, because the media is often looking for small business stories. They're looking for people that they can interview, because I know over the years, even in the case of my business, many times over the years, we've been interviewed in October, and the reason is because that's Small Business Month. So again, you want to be strategic about this. You know that it's Small Business Month, so you want to try and see, are there opportunities for me to maybe speak at a school, maybe speak at a university about entrepreneurship? And because I'm going to be doing that, maybe I could tell the media about it, or ask the organization. For example, if you're speaking at a school or university, maybe speak to the school or university to invite the media along, or to write a press release, because they often have the people. And again, that just builds up your profile, which is what you want to do. It builds up your profile. It gives you credibility in your industry, and it's third-party endorsement. And I want you to understand the benefits of being out there in public on a regular basis. Because remember, often we are the face of the business, especially in the early stages of our business. We are the representative. We are the face. We are the person people will associate the business with. Sometimes, or very, very often, they don't even know what our business name is, but they know who we are in business. So you want to try and capitalize on this opportunity. The other big opportunity that I think is something that ties in with PR is helping with a charity, or if there's something philanthropic in your area you want to participate. Again, I encourage you to be strategic about this. You know, last week, for example, it was the what was now forgotten? I don't know why I forgot. Anyway, so there was the walk. I know because my granddaughter, she's 6 years old, and she's 5 turning 6. She was saying to me, Grandpa, we were walking at school. All of us were walking, and those are some of the opportunities that you can participate in. So you want to be creative. You want to try and identify a charity or a cause in your area that's going to give you a little bit more high profile. So, you know, maybe if you run a bakery, maybe donate bread to the local bread bank or something like that. But the idea is to donate the bread bank. In your private capacity, you can keep it a secret. But I think if you're a business owner, you want people to know about this. You know, you want to know that you contribute to your local community. So these are some of the opportunities. Again, so I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to look out for opportunities. And here's a very simple example. This company is called Nutrim. They donated $230,000 to local charities. So this is an Ontario company called Canada Pet Nutrition, and they get their retailers to collect money. But you've seen it, for example, every now and then you'll go to these supermarkets, the larger groups, and then they'll have a box there at the door, and they'll say it's for local this or local that. And people really, really like it when you get involved in your community. And it's very, very good for your business. It's good for your employees. It's good for getting publicity. So I want you to be creative. I want you to think, is there an opportunity for you to do something? Actually, one of the most successful business owners I've worked with over the years is somebody that started a foundation. And her intention initially was just to give back to a community. But she's realized over time that this foundation has given her such a high profile that it's really, really helped her business. So that wasn't the objective. Initially, she started out thinking, you know what, I want to give back to my community because I'm a small business owner. I can give back to my community. I've had some form of success, and now I want to share this with people in my community. Again, You want to tie it into your business. And I want you to understand this. You've seen it many times, many times. You've seen large companies getting involved in these projects. What you want to do it is you want to do it very similar, but you want to do it on a small business budget. Does anybody have any questions on it? Or actually, any questions about anything we've discussed so far? Or any comments about anything we've discussed so far? All right, and feel free to do that. Actually, there was a comment here. Let me just see what JD said. If you hold an event, be sure to have staff product to meet an increased demand. Okay, that's good advice. And if people show up but you cannot service, it'll be worse for your business. And again, these are little things that you need to plan for. You know, if you're going to have an event at your business, or if you're going to run a discount, make sure that you have enough inventory, which is a great tip. And it's, again, something that you've got to be aware of, because you don't want to be having an event and run out. Although, you know what? Yes, the truth, you know, that you can always give people rain checks. Ideally, you don't want to do that, but if you could. So if you've got any more comments, so here's a good one from Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, for asking a question, because that really helps the process and the discussion. And that's one of the things I want to do, is I want to try and answer your question. Do you recommend asking the charity to recognize the donation? Why not? You know, why not ask the charity? Often the charity have the capacity, because they've probably got somebody in PR or somebody that does it for them to help you through the process. So why not? I don't see any problem speaking to the charity, maybe writing the press release for you, or at least acknowledging it among their clients or whatever it is. Mary says, does your business provide mental health services if we join, or do you refer? I'm not sure. What are you asking me, Mary? My business does not provide mental health services, but that example, maybe you're speaking about that example I discussed earlier on, where the massage therapist will bring somebody in to speak to their potential customers about mental health. I think the idea there is just to educate the customers. That's the only reason I mentioned that. I think that's what you're asking about. For public speaking, Brian says, know your topic and learn how to control your breathing. 40 years in radio. Oh, there you go. Brian has got some great tips there. When you're doing public speaking, know your topic, I think, which is always a good idea, to know your topic and then learn how to control your breathing. But again, I think it's one of those things. I was speaking to somebody this week, and I was saying to her, you know, that a lot of us now are going back to live events. I know, for example, I ran a training program last week over 5 days, and I realized what you miss from live events. You know, that interaction, the body language, the everything, all those little things that you miss from events. And one of the things that I said to one of my business owners, only yesterday, I said to her, you know what, the more you practice your public speaking, the better you're going to become. And I'll say that again. The more you practice, the better you're going to become. So for some of you, I think it is a good opportunity to grow your brand. Obviously not for all of you, but for some of you, it's a good opportunity to grow your brand and learn how to become a better speaker, learn how to come up with good headings, learn how to express yourself, how to move your hands, how to interact with people, all those type of things. Because, you know, this online stuff is wonderful and it makes it easy and all that type of stuff. But I still think the whole live in-person stuff, you can never, replicate that online. And maybe you can. I just don't think you can. The other big opportunity is social media. You know, one of the things that you can do on social media is almost create a profile for yourself, or a high profile. And there's a bunch of ways to do it. But what has become really, really popular recently, and I've seen quite a few small business owners doing it, is using influencers. So people in your city, in your area, that are speaking specifically about your topic. I was having a discussion with a small business owner yesterday that opened a new vegan supermarket type thing. I wouldn't even call it a supermarket, let's say a vegan store. And she said that as soon as she opened her business, these influencers reached out to her and already started writing about her business. And she was using the example, she had 30 or 50 followers on Instagram, and now she has 380 something. So what I'm here to tell you is that small businesses in their own small way are using influencers really, really well. Now, here's the challenge, I think, often when it comes to small business. Somebody like me will say to you, you know what, you need to try and identify influencers in your community. And then your question is, well, how do I do that? And I thought about that when I was doing this presentation. I thought, how do you do that? And then I found this website, which is a really interesting one, Find Canadian Influencers, Creators, and Social Media People. And there you go, it's got an example. So if you're looking for somebody in Abbotsford or Ajax or in Etobicoke or in Fort Erie, I see that Etobicoke's got a lot of influencers. I don't know why, but here's an example of some of the online resources that are available nowadays to do it. So JD says Toastmasters is an amazing not-for-profit organization. I know I mentioned that a little bit earlier on, is to develop your speaking skills. If you get a speaking opportunity and need help within weeks, it's best to hire a speaking coach. So let me tell you my story about Toastmasters, actually, JD. What happened to me is I joined Toastmasters when I first started in this business, and I went to 3 sessions, just 3 sessions. So, and for me, that was enough. So again, I think it depends on you. You know, if you an average speaker and you go to an organization like Toastmasters, how they help you is they help you structure your presentation better. They give you ideas on how to move, how to time yourself, all those things. So you're right. You know, Toastmasters is maybe a little bit long term, but for me, 3 sessions was enough. Again, it depends on you. A speaking coach obviously is where you want to go if you really want to be serious about it. But interestingly enough, I used a speaking coach about 5 years ago, and I must be honest with you, I found Toastmasters more effective than using a speaking coach. So again, it's up to you. So this website that you can find these influencers is called influence.co. I have never used their services, so I don't want you to quote me on that because I don't know if it's good or bad. What I'm saying to you is these resources are available to you there. So if you can't identify, which is what you want to typically do, I would probably trust that more. Go onto Instagram or go onto Facebook or go onto TikTok or whatever it is, or go onto LinkedIn and try and identify these influencers yourself and then reach out to them, okay? And the more local they are, the better it is. So this example that I'm giving you of that business owner that opened that vegan store, she was in Windsor, Ontario, a small area, and she got instant results. So it just shows you that it works. I mean, this stuff does work. It's not like I'm just sharing with you examples that are not working for small business. The other thing you want to try and do, you know, earlier on I was speaking about having events in your business. The other big opportunity is to take part in community events. You know, so find events in your area, find events in your community, and you want to contribute. And you've all seen this. You know, you go to a local, I don't know, hockey game, or you go to a local soccer game or whatever it is, and kids are playing, and they have these banners around it to support these businesses. So that could be something that you could contribute to participate in. But again, mention it. You know, we support the local whatever hockey team, or we support the local whatever team in there, and that's what you want to be doing. But here's an example. I was thinking to myself, you know, so where do you find these events? If you're in a community, and the only reason I put this on the screen, I was in Windsor, Ontario last week, like I mentioned. So I went on to this website called windsorite.ca news, and there you go. There's Brewing for Comedy, there's open air weekends, there's Get Ready for Sock Hat and Mid-Drive. So it's really not that difficult to reach out to some of these event organizers that are getting events going in your business, I mean, in your area, and then donate product, which is a business expense, donate product towards these events, as long as they mention your name. So that question was asked early on. If you're working with a not-for-profit and you're contributing to them, you want to make sure that they mention your name. That's the whole idea, is to benefit from the publicity or the goodwill that comes from participating in events. So just go to your local sites. And I mean, lots of us, towns and cities have these local sites. So look for them. The other one thing you want to do, and I mentioned this earlier on, but it's worth repeating, is you want to craft a compelling story, because that's really the key thing. Because when the media comes to you, when the media approaches you, let's say, for example, somebody's referred you, or you've sent a press release, or I don't know, you just in a community. I saw an example recently, for example, a small business owner that's got an online business. And what happened was she was on Shark Tank. Her and her husband run a successful online business. They were in Shark Tank, and then they were going to reappear on Shark Tank. And somebody locally in Prince Edward County knew somebody at the media, and she appeared in the media. So the whole idea here is to get that story. And she had a great story of how they started their business or why they started their business. And again, the media want to hear that. They want to know what happened, what motivated you, what encouraged you, and that's what the media is looking for. And I think one of the things you've got to learn to do is to tell a great story. And this is a skill, sometimes a very expensive skill, actually, because one of my sons, Marco, some of you maybe have attended some of his seminars or recordings that we host. He's a storyteller, often for large companies, and they get him to tell their story. If they're going to be launching a new product, or if they're going to launch a new service or something, they get him to tell their story. And it's really an art. It's really an art of telling your story. But let me tell you one of my favorite ones. And this is one of my small business owners. No, let me rephrase that. She did one of my business courses quite a long time ago. And it's really interesting because I remember when she did the course, she was definitely not making Jamaican patties. That was not what she was doing. But it's a lovely little story. What happened during COVID, she went looking for good Jamaican patties, and she couldn't find any. So she decided to make these Jamaican patties. But let me just tell you what's happened to this business owner. And she's got a great attitude. Her name is Opal Rose. She's got a great attitude, very friendly person, nice person, all of those things. And I think that helps. I really think that helps in getting publicity. If you're a friendly, caring, nice person. So, you know, I've seen it quite a few times. Actually, I did a search for it because I remembered her story. Just shows you the example. I remembered her story because I'd seen it. She follows me on Facebook. I follow her on Facebook. And I'd seen her story a couple of times. So I thought, let me just Google her name. And what I Googled was, I Googled Jamaican patties. So here's the thing I want you to understand. And from a search engine optimization point of view, here's the benefit of getting publicity, is I searched Jamaican patties and her story came up. Because typical, I had the story in my head, but I couldn't remember what her business was. But I remembered she made Jamaican patties. I actually remembered her name, her business name. Then I couldn't remember her name, and I remembered it now as I was saying it. But what I've noticed about her is that she's got a lot of publicity. She even got publicity in Jamaica. Just shows you how when you get publicity for your business, how this almost gets like the snowball effect. And maybe some of you have heard me saying this before, but I really believe that once you get publicity once, it's going to happen again. I believe that. So you've got to understand this. But yeah, again, here's a very, very good example of good publicity. She tells the story of during COVID, what happened, why she came up with this idea. And then the photograph is very good. Here's her product. There's her branding on her T-shirt. She's in a store. All of these things, this whole thing is well done. And that's the part I want you to understand is as a business owner, if you want to get free publicity, you want to have photographs like this, really good photographs like this. You also want to have a compelling story. So when they say to you, why did you come up with these Jamaican patties? Maybe you can speak about your background, where you came from, why you decided you needed to make patties. and she's doing really, really well. And she's won a couple of awards. I see she got an award from one of the banks the other day. And let me tell you why she got that award, probably because she appears in the media. Also, she's a very nice person. I think that helps. You can see she's very bubbly and friendly and things like that. All of those things help. And you've got to understand that as a business owner. So these are practical, real life examples. But let me tell you one of my favorite stories. One of my favorite stories are these two young people, mother and son, and they from Windsor, Ontario. And if you go and read their story, it's a really, really simple story, but a really heartwarming story. So this young guy, he was at school and he wanted to sell a product and spoke to his mom and said, "Mom, you know that salad dressing that you make that is so lovely, I want to make it and I want to sell it at the morning market." And that is how the idea started. It's now developed into Cedar Valley. But really the part that I think the suppliers like, the part that the customers like, is their story. So here's their story. Imagine transforming a high school business plan into a thriving Canadian business. That is exactly what founder Amin Fadel did. So that's exactly where they started. They started with this idea while he was in high school to get this going. And now they've built it into a family-focused business. They make Lebanese-inspired products. They've got pita chips, they've got salad dressing, and their salad dressings are absolutely brilliant. So I like it. Last week I was in Windsor, and they gave me some salad dressing, and I was very, very happy about this because it's a great product. But these people have used publicity really, really well. And I'm going to show you what I mean. But they've used it really, really well. But again, it started with, they were on a program. I was running a program with them, with business owners, and they were on it. And I said to them, you know, you've got a great story. Why don't you get some publicity for it? And then since then, they've done much better than I expected. They've been in a lot of media. But again, the point is that there are small business owners just like you and I that are doing this. This is not theory. These are practical things that are happening every single day. Lovely story, immigrant story, Windsor story, food business story. All those things are the things that the media look for. Now, if you realize after a while that, you know what, this media thing is good for me, one of the things you could do is create a media page. And I'm very happy to say that I'm going to show you two examples of businesses that have been on training programs that I've run that have created media pages. So this is what they've realized. They've realized that once you appear in the media, you'll probably appear again. And then what happened is journalists read different media. They'll watch different TV shows and things like that, and then they will find your business. So in this example, if we go back to this example, they'll search and they'll find this business. Actually, what happened again, this was another example, is I typed into Google Fatouche salad dressing Windsor. Okay, so there's an example of good SEO. Fatouche salad dressing Windsor, and Cedar Valley came up first. It just shows you the impact of publicity on search engine optimization. Okay, so once you realize that you're getting media on a regular basis, what you can do is you can create a specific media page. Okay, so here's an example. This is one of my students, Nama. I speak about her regularly. So if you've been to one of my webinars before, I've probably chatted about her. So you can go to a website. A company is called Smart Media. It's a service business. You can go to a website and you can contact her media. We advocate for innovative forms of housing and smart approach to intensification. Are you a reporter covering housing development or policy changes related to these? We'd love to talk to you. So they're saying to the media, here you go. If you want to interview us, we are available to be interviewed. Just send us an email to media@smartdensity.com. You know why they've done this? Because they were getting publicity. Somebody probably advised them too. A PR person probably said, you know what? You're getting publicity. Why don't you create a media page? Which is very smart, because now the media know exactly how to contact you directly. So if they want to tell your story on radio, on TV, on magazines, on blog posts. They can communicate directly with you. And you've got to understand this, is that you've got to be proactive to create this. But look at some of the media they've been in. You know, they've been in tons of media. They've been on TVO, they've been in the Globe and Mail, they've been on a whole lot of different places. So they've realized, you know what? This is what happens. Once you get into the media, they're going to keep contacting you. Let's make it even easier for the media to do this. I know in the case of my business, BizLaunch, we did this over the years. We had a media page, and we'd even have photographs there. We'd have our logo, all of that stuff. So if anybody wanted to interview us, they'd say, do you have photographs? We'd say, sure, just go to our media page, just download it. We've got a photograph of us presenting, we've got a photograph of our business, we've got a photograph of our logo, an image of our logo. So all of these things were available. And the idea here is to make it as easy as possible for the media to do business with you. But here's another example. There you go. There's the Cedar Valley people again. And let's look at it. So it started off with an article in the local newspaper, and it's developed it. They've been on Trend Hunter. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows what Trend Hunter is, but it is one of the most popular search engines in the world, run by a Canadian guy, and it gets billions and billions of searches. You know, so think of the profile this gives them. You know, they on this Trend Hunter, which then suppliers globally can look at this. So they look at this to try and identify trends that are taking place in the places. And are they going to contact them directly? Maybe not. But the point is, at least they're there if they need to. There's another one on foodology, a good example. Okay. So you want to be on where your buyers go. And in their case, there's a very good example is where their buyers are going, where they're reading blog posts and things like that about new products that have been launched in Canada, and they find them. Or here's another example on the bottom left-hand side where they were on Cityline TV. Do you see what's happening here? Is that they are getting opportunities to build their brand, to position them as an expert, and most importantly, and here's the key, most importantly, it's third-party endorsement. It's not them saying, you know, we are brilliant, we're really good. It's other people, and in this case, the media is saying, you know what, these are products you should check out. You can get them in your local supermarket, you can get them in Sobeys, you can get them in Costco and things like that. So absolutely brilliant. So let me just summarize, and then I will leave it open for a few more questions. If anybody's got questions, think about these things, because maybe you've got some questions. I think that getting free publicity, and I mentioned this on the webinar, is one of the easiest and the cheapest way to grow your business. I really believe that, because you've got to understand, you know, if you take an ad like this, or an ad like, you know, any of these that I've shown you, you know, like this over here in the Globe and Mail, this would cost an absolute fortune. It would cost an absolute fortune. Most business owners cannot afford to do that. Or this example, getting on City TV. You know how expensive it is to get onto TV? You would have to pay to get on that. You'd have to have somebody that probably found the space and then paid. Usually a broker would do that for you. They don't call it a broker, but a broker would probably do it for you. So that's how expensive it is. So I want you to understand that this is one of the cheapest ways for you to grow your brand, to get credibility, and to grow the traffic to your business. So you've got to think about this. Is there an opportunity? Is there an opportunity for me to get into media? Is there an opportunity for me to work with my local community? Is there an opportunity to identify some things like that? And if you're not comfortable being on TV or radio, whatever it is, focus on the smaller things where you get involved with your community. Actually, a big opportunity is also your BIA, your Business Improvement Association in your area. They can often help you because they'll have a newsletter. So look for every single opportunity, you know, every little bit of opportunity, or even your small business centers, for example. We got 54 of them across Ontario. They often have a newsletter where they profile small businesses. So what you want to do is you want to be creative and identify if your local small business center has it. Or sometimes there'll be directories, run by the local media or the local government organizations. And you'd look for these. And the reason you'd look for these is because they give you an inbound link. And inbound links from government sources are very, very good. It's like your Chamber of Commerce, your small business center, your BIA, all of those are good inbound links. And over time, it'll improve the search engine optimization of your website. I mentioned this earlier on, but it's worth repeating, is the media needs you, but only if you have an interesting story. So as a business owner, you've got to try and tell your story in an interesting way. I think all of us have interesting stories, but it's really that we learn how to tell them. That's the key, that we learn how to tell our story. And if we can't tell it, maybe pay somebody to write our stories or to put on video, whatever it is, because often our story really helps with our marketing. And the media loves stories, and your customers love stories. They love stories about how you came up with this recipe. I mean, you've seen this, where somebody says, no, that was my grandmother's recipe, or my mother used to make this, or whatever it is. That's where I learned. So you want to try and tell an interesting story. Actually, when I did the webinar a few weeks ago, I shared other examples with you of people that sell tea and stuff like that and have a story to tell. And if you can tell good stories, it'll help you sell your products or services better. So learn how to tell great stories. If you want a book on writing great stories, there's a book that I like called Story Brand, okay, and by a guy called Donald Miller. I think it's a great book on giving you some practical ideas and tips on writing great stories. So if you want to learn how to do that yourself, or just find something to do. The other thing you want to do is you want to read the media on a regular basis. Watch what's going on. What's going on in your local community newspaper. What's going on in your local radio station. Certain areas, for example, have a lot of local radio stations. So you want to try and reach out to those because they're always looking for local stories that appeals to them. So you've got to be listening to the radio. You've got to be listening if you've got any local TV stations, any local blogs, any local newsletters. All of those things are big opportunities. So make sure that you read the media regularly. Is there a bit of luck involved in this? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that some of us are lucky. We're at the right place, at the right time, we get publicity. The other thing you want to do is get some help. So if you're not the best person at doing this, like myself, you want to get help. You can employ a professional that's been doing it for years, or you can approach one of the local colleges. Most areas around Ontario have a college that allows people to qualify as a public relations expert. And on this program, they learn how to get publicity. So you can reach out to these people. There's always an opportunity. Or if you're really desperate, there's websites like Fiverr and Upwork and things like that that work really, really well. Actually, let me just go back to one thing I mentioned. Remember, if you've got any questions, post them in the chat because we've got a few minutes left and I'll spend a few minutes. But I was speaking to my brother that sells real estate, and he said that, understanding the importance of telling stories really influenced the sales in his business. So yes, I'm here to tell you that telling stories really helps your marketing. Get some help from a local expert, speak to somebody at your small business center, maybe speak to somebody at your BIA that can help you with this, or maybe your advisor on the Main Street, they may know somebody. But I think the key thing here out of this whole discussion is I know it's not easy. I know that. You don't have to tell me, well, Andrew, it's not easy to get publicity. I know that. But here's the key to getting publicity. The key to getting publicity is to never give up. Just to persevere. There's an opportunity out there. I know in my business, it's really, really helped me over the years. Every one of my businesses, I have tried and get free publicity for it. And straight away, it improves your traffic to your website. It improves your credibility. Actually, when I first started this business, at this specific business 19 years ago. That's exactly how we built the BizLaunch brand, is we used the media. We used publicity. We told great stories. The media liked interviewing us, and it was a big opportunity. So I think every single one of us on this webinar this afternoon should include it as part of our marketing plan. How do we get free publicity and come up with a strategy on how to do that? And I know you can do that. I've seen many, many business owners do it over the years, and I know you can do it. And for some of you, it's going to change your business. It's going to improve your business. And I think especially now that we're struggling through, we've just come out of this COVID, now we're speaking about going through a recession. All of these things, we need every single marketing opportunity out there available to us. So get out there and seek these opportunities. All right, does anybody have any questions? Because it's already 3 o'clock.